Okay, moving on. Aloe Conson. Hello, Aloe. Does your inner warrior ever find himself wishing the left would just stop denying their intentions, get it over with, and start their putsch against us? Yes. No. Let me clarify. The idea of the left declaring its intentions is the end of the left. It's just that simple. If progressives ever started openly saying what they actually believe, we talked about this earlier, they're done. So I don't think that will happen. When I said, was I looking forward to it? Yes. And then I said, no. I'm not looking forward to a shooting war against anybody, especially against other Americans, no matter how different we may have become over time. But when I said yes, here's what I meant by the yes, Allah. Yes, I would like the left to come to the realization that they are messing with the people who are heavily armed, and they're not. I think it's about time that they begin to understand that these harassments and beatings and burning of campuses and stuff is done by people who are afraid of a potato peeler against people who go out and my wife was, when we started shooting, she was putting 800 rounds a day downrange. A day. So I would like them to realize what they're up against, and they're going to push it. And there's already been a guy went hunting Republicans on that softball field and so on. If that had been a conservative, we'd still be hearing about that story every night. But this is also a convenient answer to the question of what do you need your semi-automatic rifles for? And whenever we talk about why we need the right to defend ourselves, we always say, well, criminals and foreign invasion and so on. But I'm not worried about criminals. I have a 45 for criminals. I have an AR-15 for something completely different, and it's not to stop criminals. And I'm not too terribly worried about the British coming back. The reason I have the rifle is because I have seen what the left does, and they're doing it now. They launch these attacks, and the first thing they do is demonize conservatives to the degree where they've called us Nazis so often that it's okay to punch a Nazi. In fact, it's kind of expected of you. It's heroic. So I suspect, look, I don't know. I don't know whether it's going to get violent or not. I just don't know. But I do know that if it does get violent and they break the seal on the conservative behavior, once they take us out of the protective wrapping, then it'll be over very, very quickly. And what I mean by that is I think the American people are the most decent, well-intentioned, generous, friendly people in the world. And there's a problem with that. And the problem is that enemies think that you're weak because you're friendly and you're trusting. They see that as weakness. It gives them the sense that you're lazy and stupid and fat and slow and all of these things. So it gives them a temptation to attack you because they're so convinced that your friendliness is just plain weakness. And when I say take off the wrapper, we haven't taken off the wrapper since 1945. Not all the way. If it turned out that there was some kind of massacre or something, and it came to the point where it's like, okay, this is what you forced on us. Now it's serious. When you get there are no better fighters and no more fearsome enemies than decent, friendly people who are angry. The people who are slow to anger, very slow, are the people who will once you get that, once you break the seal, and they realize, okay, this is it. This is war. Once you break that seal, it's over for the enemy. It's a matter of time. Somebody was talking about the Civil War. During the Civil War, a Northerner and a Southerner, and they were discussing, prisoner exchange, something, I don't remember. Or maybe it was just before the war, actually. It might have been politicians just before the war. But in any event, a Northern, maybe it was a Northern senator, I don't remember the source, but let's say it was a Northern senator, is talking to a Southern senator, and the Southern senator is talking about war and secession and all the rest. And he said, sir, you Southern gentlemen are very fiery, very temperamental. You're like a brush fire in dry country. Burns very bright and very hot, and then it burns itself out. He said, we Northern people are like a huge boiler filled with cold water. And it takes an awful lot of fire to get that water to the point where it's steam. But if you do it, it will generate so much power for so long that you won't know what hit you. And I think that's it. Yeah, and J.C. Pershing says, basically makes the point that is apparently lost on them. If we were as evil as they say that we are, they'd all be dead now. And by the way, guys, I've mentioned this before. If you haven't figured it out by now, you should know the reason now why the left wants to control guns. They want to control guns because as long as we have guns, they can't control us. Not all the way. They can do the nonsense they do to me in California and fine for the plastic straws and so on. But if I ever felt that my actual personal fundamental liberty was at stake, I'd be out of here faster than I could fire a few shots just to hold them off as I make a run for it. They just don't want us to have guns because if we have guns, they can't tell us what to do. But that's the whole motivation. That's all of it. All of it. So let's see what we got here.